Hello, this is a quick review of a drawing. We'll create this drawing for our first exercise, something simple, just something to define what makes up a drawing. Currently we're looking at a drawing border, and inside the drawing border you see three orthographic views. This one here is your primary view, this is your top principal view, and this is your right side principal view, or what I would call the front view. And this view is the isometric view. Also inside the border, we have what's called the title block. Inside the title block, you'll see things like the tolerance block, who drew the drawing, who is the checker for the drawing, and the supervisor that approved it. So for our class, your name will go here. Checked by will be myself, your instructor, will go here. And approved by or designed by would be, in this case, whoever came up with the assignment. So if you were in the print reading book, the author of the print reading book would be the approved by or designed by. In this case, I'm going to be the checker and design by for this particular exercise that I designed myself. Is not something that you reference from the book. You're going to come up with a name for your company and name your company here. In the drawing title, you would have a name, nomenclature, describing what the drawing is. Normally something like the base part or an angle bracket, something of that nature that is describing the actual physical part, followed by a number that they would stamp on the part. So in this case, for our class, it will be the ET111 with the 4 X's representing the last 4 digits of your student ID. -1 means it's the part 1. -D stands for revenue. D is for the drawing. The dashes are for revisions. So for example, if we did a revision A, this dash would become an A. And this revision would become an A. And if you scroll all the way to the top, this would be your revision A. In this case, this is a rev new, the date, initial drawing, and the initials of the person that did the drawing. Below the revision block and to the title block, you would have general notes and flag notes. This line may or may not be needed depending on what company you're with. We can go to view, fit all in. To get a look at this, make sure to always save it in this environment. This blue axis should be here on the bottom left. And how you do that is when you're finished with the drawing, you're going to make sure you hit edit, background, edit sheet. Edit background will turn this gray, and that means it will allow you to edit the text. When you're done editing the text, you're going to right click on sheet 1 and go back to edit sheet. That protects this text in the title block and the general notes from being edited on accident. This view, in my class, we will reference this as the primary view. Many drawings in the books refers to this as the front view. But for my class, I just want you to call it the primary view, because if I were to look at this part, I don't think I would call this the front view. This to me would be the side view, like the side of a car, and the front of the car would be over here. For me, this would be a front view. So when I look at this, I refer to this view as the front view and this view as the side view. Some people call it front, some people call it side. To remove the controversy, in our class, we're going to name this the primary view. All auxiliary views that are the main views on CAD systems are called the primary view. And when you create a view from that using first or third angle projection, in America we're using third angle projection to get the top view. So this up here is the top view. It's a perfect view of the top of this part. Is a 90-degree angle. If I were to draw a fold line right along here, that would be a view looking directly on the top. So I would definitely call this the top principal view. I just called this the primary view to remove any discussion of whether it's the front or side. And over here, I just call it the principal view. And in reality, if it were me, I'd probably call it the front principal view. But that's all debatable from company to company, wherever you go. For our example, we will name this the primary view. These are principal views. If you go to any CAD system, once you create a view, you'll use a principal view to create other views from the existing view. This view over here is an isometric view. Notice that it has a call off, noting it's an engineering reference only and scale none. Therefore, we have parentheses around these dimensions. These dimensions are not always necessary depending on what company you're working from, but it can be nice for the part planners to have overall dimensions to order the material. Over here we have a part number called off that they're going to stamp on this part somewhere to identify that part. In my class we're going to label each view identifying this part. In reality the -1 is calling off this part, but in my class I want to go over how to create these leaders, because in a real world you're going to have lots of leaders to deal with and work with, and I want you to get practice inserting them. I also want you to apply datums on every single view so we can identify where the datums are in each view. We have this note saying it's unnecessary, but you're identifying to me that you know what datum is what. Now some things to point out on this for you to watch out for is this datum B has got to touch this line. And the reason why it's not touching this line is this datum is not in the top view. So because this is not in the top view, if I were to click on this and then try to move it, if I try to move this up or down, it won't stay horizontal or vertical. That will be your first clue that it's not in the proper view. So before you create your datums, text, dimensions, and leaders, make sure you double click on the appropriate view in the specification tree. Again, we have the same issues here. The reason why these are not touching is because they are not truly in that view. Also, be aware these datum views, we do not want to cross these dimension lines and extension lines. For this application, this datum A should be above this dimension line and touching this line, or this datum A can be all the way over here to the far left past this dimension arrowhead. Same with the datum B. The datum B should be over on this side of the dimension line, or where I like to put it is above this dimension line. So datum B would be somewhere up here. All right, so that's just a quick overview of what a drawing looks like, what it's comprised of: the border, the title block, the general notes, the flag notes, the tolerance block, revision block, and your orthographic views, and most likely an isometric view.